Chapter 151, Perfect Fit for Obstetrics and Gynecology. Welcome back, the great hero. I watched your speech on TV, not bad at all. How about coming to obstetrics and gynecology? I can make sure you appear on TV regularly, what do you think? Liu greeted Fang Hao, still wielding her large hoe. Oh, director, I was just pulled in as a laborer. Where's the heroism in that? By the way, in a couple of days, it'll be payday. If they deduct my salary for these days I wasn't at the hospital, you'll have to put in a good word for me with the dean. If you come to obstetrics and gynecology, I'll directly make you the associate director, and your salary will multiply several times. How about that? I have to listen to Director Liu. Oh, I'll go take a look at that maternity patient first. Fang Hao didn't expect Liu Yu's offer to be so tempting, directly becoming the associate director with a multiplied salary. This would bring his annual income to over 300,000. Although it was undoubtedly better than working in the outpatient department, it wouldn't contribute much to his upcoming divorce and buying a house in Tianjifeng. Entering the obstetrics and gynecology inpatient department, Fang Hao checked on the maternity patient, finding her recovery to be excellent. However, there was one issue: the patient had insufficient breast milk. The patient, surprised that the doctor who performed her surgery was young and handsome, asked, "What should I do? I can't breastfeed easily in my current condition. What about the supplements like bird's nest and ginseng that I've been taking?" "Don't worry. You don't need to take bird's nest and ginseng right now. I'll prescribe you some traditional Chinese medicine that promotes breast milk secretion. Take 2 doses this afternoon and tonight, and by around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you should notice a difference. When the time comes, consult with your fellow women, they'll know more than me." "Did you know about the bird's nest and ginseng I took?" The patient thought these supplements were sent by her mother-in-law and hadn't informed the doctor. Fang Hao explained, "I can diagnose it. You're currently in the wound healing stage, primarily relying on medication for recovery. Some ingredients in those supplements may hinder the absorption of the medicine. If conditions permit, you can resume the supplements after discharge." "Alright, I have an old uncle who sells traditional Chinese medicinal materials. He suggested my mother-in-law use some supplements. Trust in our director Liu." Fang Hao reassured the patient and then left with Liu Yu. Liu Yu said, "Fang Hao, I really found that you are so suitable for obstetrics and gynecology. Did you see how the maternity patient's attitude softened when she saw you? You don't know, she was conscious during anesthesia and heard about the severe bleeding and Dr. Li's unsuccessful hemostasis. After waking up, she scolded Dr. Li a lot. Oh, is she quite fierce? Is she the contractor or is it her husband? I guess it's her. If you can comfort her, then her medical care can be entrusted to you. It's already evening, let's have dinner together. I need to visit Jiangdong first. I haven't seen him in 5 days, and he's been urging me. My mom is also there, so I need to go see them. I'll owe you this meal, and I'll treat you another day." Fang Hao left the obstetrics and gynecology department, returned to the outpatient department, clocked out, and left the hospital with Lu Jing. In the car, Lu Jing handed Fang Hao a file and said, "There's a set of questions in here. Take your time to help me with it. You don't need a perfect score, anything above 90 is fine." Fang Hao understood, it was an open book exam for the party school training. Lu Jing attended a class but found the teacher neglectful, so she didn't go anymore. Instead, she spent 3 or 4 days having fun with her best friend. When she returned, she realized that the teacher would announce the answers the night before the exam. Nevertheless, she trusted Fang Hao. Understood. Changing the subject, Fang Hao asked, "How is Jiangdong doing?" "He's much better now. In another week, he wants to go home, but he's under a lot of pressure." As Lu Jing spoke, there was a hint of resentment in her voice. Fang Hao roughly guessed that Jiangdong was one of the main pillars of the Jiang family. If he couldn't recover, the empire he had built would be difficult for Jiangdong to manage. Moreover, if Jiangdong didn't have any offspring, the pressure would be even greater. At his age, the lack of children would undoubtedly weigh on his mind. In society, the demand for children falls into 2 extremes. In the upper class, having more children is considered a blessing. In the lower class, children are seen as future labor and a means of accumulating wealth. Only the middle class, concerned with the cost of raising children, tends to limit their family size. For example, Fang Hao, if he weren't Suro's high-ranking finance director with an annual income of several $100,000, He wouldn't dare to have children due to the financial burden. Fang Hao said, Jianggu has strong willpower and substantial material support. He will recover. Although I couldn't come over these days, I've looked at some of his data, and there are signs of improvement. I hope so. Regardless, it's much better than the past couple of years. Lu Jing comforted herself. Fang Hao didn't say much, focusing on driving. Soon, they arrived at the sanatorium on the outskirts. In Zhang Jun's room, there was also his younger sister. Fang Hao noticed that when Lu Jing greeted her, the sister was very warm and friendly. The two women got along harmoniously. The man with 500 houses truly had exceptional harem management skills. Fang Hao admired silently and then proceeded to diagnose and treat the man with 500 houses. Zhang Jun said, I've been following the news about your anti-epidemic efforts. To be frank, I had my eye on that chicken farm in the area where the incident occurred 2 years ago. At that time, the chicken farmers refused to relocate, and the asking price was high, so I had to give up. Now, with this cholera outbreak, they will undoubtedly suffer heavy losses. My friend, is it true that they slaughtered all the live chickens as reported on TV? Fang Hao was surprised. He didn't expect Zhang Jun to sniff out this business opportunity. He replied, actually, it's not only the chickens in that area, many others were also culled. The ducks in that area and even a pigeon farm were cleaned out. Akin, did you hear that? Go and acquire that piece of land. Zhang Jun looked at his younger sister and gave the order. I've already submitted a proposal. We'll negotiate with them once the epidemic is over, his sister replied with a smile. Little uncle, you're truly our lucky charm. When we secure that land, I'll make sure to give you a big red envelope. Little uncle, Fang Hao was speechless. He didn't expect his younger sister-in-law to be so well connected. He said, I didn't do anything special. It's not appropriate for me to accept a red envelope. Director Lu Jing interjected, she's not short of money. If she wants to give it to you, just take it. That's right. Akin rarely gives red envelopes. If you get one, accept it. Oh, I plan to be discharged in 3 days. Is that okay? In theory, it should be fine. Fang Hao looked at Lu Jing, indicating that it was up to them to decide. Chapter 152, Mother-in-law is fine. Fang Hao was conservative because he didn't want to disappoint Lu Jing. After consulting with the sanatorium's experts, they didn't see any major issues. He gave Zhang Jun some advice, although whether Zhang Jun would heed it was another matter. Go see your mother-in-law. Come pick me up when you leave. Lu Jing asked Fang Hao to leave first, indicating that she wanted to discuss the vice director position with Zhang Jun. Her man knew the ins and outs, and he could provide her with some insights. Fang Hao thought they wanted to have a private conversation, so he left without saying much. On his way to his mother-in-law's convalescent room, he ran into Fei Fei. Fei Fei gave Fang Hao a thumbs up. Brother Hao, I saw you on TV. You're amazing. Don't mention it. I was drafted into the work brigade, and my efforts aren't appreciated. Fang Hao grinned. Fei Fei continued, but Professor Zhou has been following the news every day, waiting for your appearance. She asked me to record your speech for her. She has great confidence in you. Really? It seems I didn't embarrass myself in front of her. Fang Hao smiled and tossed his cigarette butt aside. Brother Hao, why do you litter like that? It's not good. You might get fined. Fei Fei picked up the cigarette butt. Cigarette butt. Fang Hao had a sudden realization. Suro's lover also smoked and probably littered cigarette butts everywhere. This could be material for a DNA test. These busy days focused on the epidemic had delayed him from investigating Zhang Lingtian. He needed to hurry and get the paternity test between Jiezhou and Zhang Lingtian done to determine the truth, influencing his next move. He had a hunch that Zhang Lingtian, the chosen one, was that scoundrel. Entering his mother-in-law's room, he saw her moving slowly. He hesitated and said, Mom, you're recovering well. Fang Hao is here. Joy flickered in his mother-in-law's eyes, but she habitually resumed her cool demeanor. These days, some people from your hospital came to check on me. I feel they're not competent, unable to figure out the cause. Since you're here, help me take a look. Director Liu is quite capable. Fang Hao knew that Director Liu had come to see his mother-in-law and would have conducted some checks. She's just halfway there, a bit better than Yang Wenjin. If it's handling simple gynecological matters or delivering babies, she's fine. But when it comes to major heart or brain issues, she doesn't have the capability. His mother-in-law spoke fearlessly. Fang Hao neither agreed nor disagreed. While examining, he said, Director Liu asked me to become the deputy director in the obstetrics and gynecology department. My annual salary could increase several times. I was tempted, but hearing what you said, I need to reconsider. I don't want to be looked down upon if I go there. His mother-in-law said, the obstetrics and gynecology department at your provincial hospital is indeed lacking compared to the one at the Women and Children's Hospital. You can't say that. The Women and Children's Hospital is a specialized hospital, whereas the provincial hospital is comprehensive. When the obstetrics and gynecology department can't handle certain patients, they'll be sent to the provincial hospital. At that point, the comprehensive hospital has an advantage. But you're right, there may not be much future in obstetrics and gynecology. If I go there, my dream of buying a house in Tianjifeng will be just a dream. You still haven't given up on that dream? Of course not. I'm determined to hold on to my dream. Fang Hao said, your recovery is going well. If you maintain this progress, you can leave here in 3 to 5 days and rest at home. After returning home, take it easy and find a capable nanny to take care of your daily life. Of course, you can also stay here for a while longer. The environment is quite pleasant. It's too lonely here, no lively atmosphere. Without you and Xiao, I have no family around. Jia and Tian can only come and play for a longer time on weekends. Do you think I'm really not doing well? Originally, I didn't like children, finding them noisy. But now, with you, I find myself missing the kids. Am I really getting old? Oh, regretting not having more children when you were young? In our countryside, if the family is well off, they tend to have many children. Cut. Don't compare me to you country folks. What achievements do those village old women have? They are just reproductive tools, with no thoughts or souls. Mom is right. I'm from the countryside, and I can only see so far. But you, standing high, can see much farther. Fang Hao grinned, realizing that his mother-in-law was indeed an elite intellectual from the upper class. Changing the topic again, his mother-in-law asked, how is it going between you and Xiao? It's the same as before. I've been in isolation these days and haven't seen them yet. Fang Hao's heart shivered. He felt quite indifferent because he hadn't missed his wife and children these days. He knew that even if he wasn't at home, his wife might secretly meet with Zhang Tian. His wife wasn't lonely at all, and she probably went back to work. Her world was still lively. As for the children, one of them wasn't his, so what was the point of worrying? The most challenging time for taking care of children is from birth to 3 years old, and he invested a lot during that period. Most importantly, he no longer saw his wife and that family as his career. They were no longer important. He said, Mom, are you in a hurry to find a prospective son-in-law for Xiao even before we've completed the formalities? Nonsense, I'm not. Even if you were, it wouldn't matter. Do you want to argue with me? Do you want to make me angry? I dare not. Your condition is okay now, you don't need acupuncture. Can I go back now? My walking is still a bit weak. Acupuncture would be better. His mother-in-law didn't let Fang Hao leave and asked him to continue the acupuncture. She could feel a special energy flow from Fang Hao's acupuncture. Although Fang Hao said it was nerve activity, she wasn't a 3-year-old child, she could distinguish it. The relaxation after acupuncture was indeed very comfortable. While Fang Hao continued acupuncture, he asked Fei Fei to come in and watch over. Then he went out to smoke and took a look at the director's information packet, flipping through the pages. These were training materials on organizing ideological work by Ma Zhe. They seemed dull, and the questions were straightforward. Anyone who read the materials could find the answers easily. Only the last few questions required comprehensive consideration of the materials, even guessing the thoughts of the person who compiled them. But all of this didn't pose a challenge for Fang Hao. After a while, Fei Fei came out with a cup of milk tea and handed it to Fang Hao, saying, Are you going to take the civil service exam? This is a task assigned by the leader. I was a farmer in my previous life, so I won't become a civil servant. Have you finished your thesis? My mom is about to retire, and you should be graduating too, right? I was accepted by the National Mathematical Group. I'll be working on a project with a mathematician from there. Fei Fei flicked her hair and spoke coquettishly. Oh, impressive. Over 10,000 in salary, and I haven't even gone there yet. I don't know if I can do well. Can you give me some advice? Go for it. A salary over 10,000 and a job in a national level unit. Oh, the national mathematical group under the Chinese Academy of Sciences. You must go. Don't follow my stingy mother-in-law. She doesn't understand the thoughts of you young people. Your mother-in-law is going to give you a reward of 600,000. You still say she's stingy, hee hee. Chapter 153, Psychological Reasons. When Fang Hao heard about the 600,000 yuan, he couldn't help but feel a little excited. However, he didn't want it. After all, he was going to divorce her daughter, and taking her money would feel like taking advantage of her. After divorcing, he should leave with nothing. If Zhou gave him money, it should also be for her daughter. After Fang Hao finished the acupuncture, his mother-in-law indeed gave him money as research expenses. Since Fang Hao provided a strategy that played a crucial role in solving the problem, he was rewarded with a sum of money. I'll hold on to it for Xiaoro for now, Fang Hao said considerately. His mother-in-law was improving day by day. Once he divorced her daughter, she would be someone else's mother-in-law, and Fang Hao would have no connection with her. So, Fang Hao didn't get too involved. After finishing the acupuncture, he left. After seeing off Lu Jing, Fang Hao left the sanatorium. He took Lu Jing back to her home and then headed home himself. Daddy. Jie Jie and Tian Tian rushed over to Fang Hao, asking him to hold them. Each hugged one side of his body, planting kisses on Fang Hao's face. Jie Jie, be gentle. Fang Hao assessed his daughter's weight. He wasn't sure if Tian Tian had gained weight, but he felt that this side was lighter. I miss Daddy. Jie Jie giggled, carefree and joyful. Both of you, come down. Daddy has been working hard for so long, he must be tired. Suro came out, and seeing the intimacy between her children and Fang Hao, her heart melted. It made her more determined not to divorce Fang Hao. Go rest now. Daddy will make breakfast for you tomorrow. Fang Hao asked his children to go to their rooms to rest. He took a glance at Suro, noticing that her complexion wasn't great. He asked, is the reaction so severe? Yes, a bit. But I can overcome it. It'll get better after this period. Suro wanted to kiss Fang Hao, but he pushed her away. Ignoring his resistance, she still tried to kiss him. Her lips were warm, soft, and considerate. Fang Hao wanted to be moved and enjoy this sweetness, but he couldn't. This woman loved her lover. After a while, their neighbor came over to congratulate Fang Hao on his return. Ruili said, Fang Hao, you've become paler and lost some weight. The anti-epidemic work must have been tough. Those days were spent continuously checking, diagnosing, with no time for eating or sleeping. It was inhumane work. So, good health is the most important. Fang Hao casually mentioned the hardships of the epidemic. Dealing with this cholera, if it were a more dangerous virus combined with high stress, a person coming down from the epidemic scene would be similar to someone coming down from a battlefield. Dong Yunzhou invited Fang Hao to the school for a promotion. After all, there was an outbreak in the kindergarten, and the education system needed to pay attention. Fang Hao declined, citing the hospital and PhD studies he'd fallen behind on during these days. But Dong Yunzhou insisted, saying they would negotiate with the school and hospital leadership, and Fang Hao would have to come. Fang Hao felt a bit speechless. After some small talk, the neighbor left, and the house returned to silence. After freshening up, Fang Hao entered the study. Suro waited for a while in bed, but when she didn't see Fang Hao coming, she felt uneasy, sensing that she was being treated with indifference. She went to the study and found Fang Hao closing QQ, seeming to hide something from her. A sudden chill ran through her, realizing that her husband, who had been too busy with epidemic prevention to check on her these past few days, was now back and likely to resume his investigations. Suppressing her frustration, she said, Honey, why aren't you coming back to the room? In the past few days, you haven't spent time with me. Fang Hao understood this as her subtle reminder. Since his wife had just succeeded in conceiving, it wasn't suitable for them to be intimate, but she still had a way with words. Thinking about his wife's familiar oral skills made Fang Hao feel uncomfortable and disgusted. He replied, Even when I'm not around, you have someone else, don't you? Honey, there's no one else, only you. How many times do I have to say it for you to believe me? Shuro felt helpless. I don't believe it. Your lover has a key to our house. When he comes over, it's like coming home. Sometimes I think, perhaps, this home is yours with him, and I'm just an outsider. Honey, don't say that. This is our home. I only have you, and I only love you. Suro approached, sitting on Fang Hao's lap, hugging his neck tightly. Fang Hao said, "Just now, when I came back from Mom's place, she said that I provided a solution to a problem in her project, which allowed a breakthrough. If the project fund comes through, she wants to give me 600,000 yuan. I didn't refuse, but I know this is the money she's leaving for you. When the time comes, I will still leave with nothing. Honey, these days, I've been waiting for you to come back. I've been praying for you wholeheartedly. As soon as you return, you talk about divorce again. Are you so heartless?" Suro felt wronged, and tears started to flow. "Suro, stop studying cracked alteas. You can't deceive me. You're pregnant now, experiencing pregnancy symptoms. You're in a bad mood, and you're a vulnerable group. I won't argue with you. We've lived together for 4 years. Although you don't love me, we've at least been together, seeing each other every day. Let's part on good terms. Honey, I love you. I've always loved you. In the past, now, and in the future, I love only you." Suro found that her tender approach wasn't working. She started to panic. Without any sign of being moved, Fang Hao said, "Let's not talk about this. I still have work to finish. Honey, you haven't been home for a week. You haven't been with me. Is your work more important than us? There's your child in my belly. Aren't we important? Perhaps the child is your lover's. No, it's definitely yours. Then I'll make you get rid of it. No, I won't do it. I want to give birth to your child. Why bother? Our marriage is destined to end sooner or later. I can't tolerate you giving me a cuckold. Suro, let me work. Without work, I won't be able to live in this house, given our disparate family conditions, income, and social resources. Honey, don't be like this. Suro, don't be like this either. I came back home to see Tian and them, and to part with you amicably. I don't want to have conflicts with you. If you continue like this, I think living in the hospital dormitory would be better. Then let's hug for a while. I'll go back to the room later, I won't disturb your work. Shuro compromise. She felt Fang Hao's determination to divorce. Despite being very beautiful, she was more attractive than any other woman in Jiangdong City. Yet, she was now in Fang Hao's arms, and he showed no signs of being tempted. This indicated that she had lost her charm. A normal man, having no reaction to his wife, meant that he no longer liked her. No response from her husband meant it wasn't due to physical reasons but psychological ones. This was a terrifying revelation. Chapter 154, Why Make Me Expose You? After a while, Suro asked in Fang Hao's ear, "Honey, what exactly did you find when investigating me? Why are you so sure that I'm having an affair, or is it that you've found someone else, and you want to abandon us, mother and daughter? Why ask me? Whether you're having an affair or not, you know best, don't you? I'm not exposing you now, it's giving you some last bit of dignity. Do you really want me to tear apart your glamorous exterior and reveal your ugly side?" Fang Hao knew his wife was testing him, and deep inside, he was angry and disappointed. "You've already had an affair. Why are you probing my bottom line? When the truth is revealed, you won't have any honor. It will only make people see how despicable you are. And isn't that just rubbing salt in my wounds? On our wedding night, you shared a bed with your adulterer right beside me. In my presence, I can't understand. When the truth is exposed, how can you still live with any face? Can you and your lover live proudly, completely ignoring the opinions of others? Does that mean you can live like that? That can only prove that you two are broad-minded, shameless. That can only prove that you two are truly in love. Completely disregarding societal views." Fang Hao sighed and said, "Enough. Go back to the room." He asked his wife to leave, then lit a cigarette, took a long drag, and after calming down, he refocused and worked on the paper that Lu Jing had given him. In the middle of the night, Jin Shaojian sent a message, "Brother Hao, there's a manuscript, 3,000 words will do. I'll send you the requirements, take a look and give me a confirmation if you can do it." Fang Hao clicked to receive the requirements file, glanced over it quickly, and found it not difficult. He asked, "How much are you paying?" Jin Shaojian replied, $1,000. Fang Hao said, "So little? Oh, did you find out about Zhang Lingtian's information?" Jin Shaojian replied, "The sponsor is a teacher who needs to publish a paper for a job title evaluation. I've looked into her, she has 2 children who need to go to school, and her financial situation isn't very good." Fang Hao said, "You really looked into the sponsor?" Jin Shaojian said, "Building mutual trust is important." Fang Hao was speechless, but considering that Jin Shaojian could arrange a meeting with the hospital and him, finding information on that sponsor shouldn't be too difficult. Perhaps Jin Xiaojian was just looking from a distance and didn't care about the other person's situation. After some thought, Fang Hao said, "I'll write this paper for you for free. Send me Zhang Lingtian's information as soon as possible." "Alright. What do you need Zhang Lingtian's information for?" "I'm starting to work on it. I'll send you the paper later." Fang Hao logged out of QQ and began writing the paper. About an hour later, he finished it, sent it to Jin Xiaojian, and then shut down his computer to get some sleep. On the other end, Jin Xiaojian took a quick look, found no issues, and thought the quality was high. He sent it to the teacher sponsor. "Damn, brother Hao works so fast." Jin Xiaojian marveled, and then, mustering up some courage, he made a call. The call was answered, and he said, "Mom, why aren't you sleeping so late?" A woman's voice came from the other end. "Need money? How much?" Jin Xiaojian said, "I don't need money now. I want to inquire about someone." "Who?" "Zhang Lingtian." "Where does he live? How can I find him?" The voice on the phone sounded a bit panicked as she asked, "Why do you want to find him?" "His calligraphy and paintings are quite valuable, right? I want to ask for his calligraphy and paintings. I'll give you money directly." Jin Xiaojian didn't expect his mother to hang up without hesitation. In less than a minute, he received a bank message, and 100,000 yuan had been deposited. Jin Xiaojian was speechless. He didn't call for money this time. "My mom won't tell me. Whom should I ask? Should I give the money to Fang Hao?" "No, Fang Hao said he didn't want money. If I can't find information on someone this time, he might not cooperate with me next time." Unable to rely on his mother, Jin Xiaojian contacted his buddy, and after making a call, he heard many women's surprised screams. Then, they invited him out to have a great time. He hesitated for a moment, asked the other party to send the address, and then left the university dormitory to have some fun. Next day, early in the morning, Fang Hao prepared breakfast for the children, then went to pick up Lu Jing and headed back to the hospital. He handed over the documents and exam papers to Lu Jing, saying, "Director, our handwriting is different, is that okay?" "No problem. The teachers over there haven't seen my handwriting, and your writing is quite similar to mine, both in regular script," Lu Jing replied. Lu Jing opened the exam paper bag and found that Fang Hao had indeed completed it neatly. However, since she hadn't checked the answers, she couldn't confirm their accuracy. "I will talk to the dean today to try and lift the punishment imposed on you," Lu Jing said. "That would be really great," Fang Hao exclaimed. Welfare and rewards were crucial for him, and more importantly, he couldn't afford to take the blame for this incident. It would complicate his future promotions. "Someone rearranged my schedule last night, and I have 4 classes today. I still want you to attend them," Lu Jing said. "Alright," Fang Hao agreed without much thought. He needed to hold on to this powerful connection with Lu Jing. Moreover, since Lu Jing mentioned talking to the dean about lifting the punishment, he should show more enthusiasm. After dropping off Lu Jing at the hospital, Fang Hao returned to his dormitory to prepare for his classes. When the time came, he headed to the school. In the medical school, he saw a familiar figure, his mentor, Su Yucheng. He wanted to go over and say hello, but seeing that the mentor was busy, and considering his own upcoming class, he decided against it. Did the mentor come back without telling me? Could he be genuinely upset that I didn't join him at Aohu? Impossible. I have a family and need to build a career. I can't let you freeload forever. Mentor, you're old with savings and a villa. Do you really need to work so hard? You better focus on taking care of Mentor's wife, otherwise, you might end up wearing a green hat. Sighing inwardly, Fang Hao adjusted his emotions, finished his class preparation, and then went to teach. During the class, some students recognized Fang Hao for his contributions during the pandemic and applauded him. The atmosphere lifted, and the class proceeded smoothly. At noon, when Fang Hao was about to leave, he unexpectedly received a call from Jin Xiaojian. He went to Jin Xiaojian's computer science student dormitory. Jin Xiaojian was alone inside, just waking up. He took out his phone and played a recording, a conversation with a buddy about Zhang Lingtian's situation. Of course, there were many vulgar words in the recording. Fang Hao copied the recording to his phone and looked at Jin Xiaojian, saying, "With your physique, playing like this, you really don't care about your life? I thought your thin appearance was due to your computer science major, but I never thought you'd indulge in alcohol and women at such a young age. You're giving up a bright future for nothing. Brother Hao, I did this for you. I was inquiring about information for you. That's why I went, Jin Xiaojian explained. Fang Hao sighed and shook his head. Your physical condition and lifestyle, you really need to be careful. I can prescribe something for you. It seems you've scratched yourself. Brother Hao, you're a doctor. Can you write me a prescription for some medication? Jin Xiaojian requested. Are you itching? Don't get too involved with those shady women. Did you catch something? Fang Hao asked. I hope not. I used protection, Jin Xiaojian replied. Be more careful. You're young, don't ruin yourself like this. There's no cure for those kinds of diseases, Fang Hao warned. After advising Jin Xiaojian to rest, Fang Hao left. While driving, he put on his earphones, eager to listen to the recording. He wanted to know what information Jin Xiaojian had gathered by sacrificing his modesty. Chapter 155, Entering Tianji Feng. Zheng Ling Tian? Zheng uncle, he lives in Tianji Feng. Which unit? I don't remember the unit number, but it's easy to find. He's relatively low-key, but there's a statue at the entrance of his house. I heard it was sculpted by a woman. Studio? There are plenty of those. There's an exhibition hall near Wanda Plaza that showcases his paintings. They're quite valuable now. I heard the most expensive one is 3 billion. Damn, 3 billion. Networking? Definitely. But the connections here are too high-end. We're still green and can't afford to play in those circles. Oh, Little Gold, I heard Auntie has a good relationship with him. Auntie bought one of his paintings last year for 80 million. I didn't know. Ask Auntie about it later. Zheng uncle and Auntie live in a world that's too high-end for us. Or rather, we're not at that level yet. Stop bothering with them, let's just do our thing. After hearing this, Fang Hao realized that, aside from the relevant information at the beginning, the rest wasn't very useful. Thinking of something, he sent a message to Jin Xiaojian, saying, Is your mom a development shareholder at Tianji Feng? Does she live there? Yes, she lives there. What's going on? Jin Xiaojian replied. I heard your mom bought several million worth of paintings. When can you take me to see them? I'll ask my mom. I'll only go when she's not at home. Why? I'm scum, she doesn't like me. She only likes my sister. Alright. Contact her and just go see the paintings. Fang Hao waited in the car for a while, and soon received a call from Jin Xiaojian saying that Su Jia wasn't at home during lunch, so they could go now. Ecstatic, Fang Hao asked Jin Xiaojian to come down quickly, as he hadn't left yet. He roughly understood that the private detective's car hadn't followed them onto the campus. Instead, it had parked at the school gate because parking inside the campus wasn't allowed for non-school vehicles. Fang Hao's car was registered with Lu Jing's help, so he could park anywhere. Also, Fang Hao was here for classes, not investigating the affair, so Su Ro was reassured. She didn't dare let her affair get too close, otherwise, Fang Hao would have noticed the private detective. When Jin Xiaojian got into the car, he asked in surprise, Brother Hao, is this your car? No, it's my boss's. I'm here to substitute teach, so I'm using her car. Can we enter Tianji Feng in this car? Fang Hao asked. Of course we can. Jin Xiaojian was very excited, looking Fang Hao up and down, realizing that Fang Hao was damn handsome. If he had even half of Fang Hao's looks, he could make a living with just his face. Arriving at the entrance of Tianji Feng, Jin Xiaojian greeted the security guard and went through without any trouble. Fang Hao asked, Are you familiar with the security guards here? Of course, my mom is a major shareholder here, Jin Xiaojian replied. Fang Hao was speechless. How did he forget about this connection? He had been thinking about how to infiltrate Tianji Feng and had overlooked Zhang Jun mentioning the 5 shareholders of Tianji Feng. That Su Jia was indeed Jin Xiaojian's mother. The villas here were also quite distant from each other, with green belts separating them to ensure privacy. Stopping at a certain unit, Jin Xiaojian opened the gate, and Fang Hao followed him inside. High-end, classy, and stylish. Fang Hao felt that the architecture here was more modern than his mother-in-law's villa. Entering the house, there was a young and beautiful girl inside, dressed very casually. Upon seeing someone entering, she hung up the phone and held a cushion in front of her chest. When she saw Jin Xiaojian, there was obvious disdain in her eyes. However, upon seeing Fang Hao, she became puzzled but couldn't hide her internal admiration. This man was really handsome. Jin Xiaojian said, This is my sister, Su Lianin. Just ignore her, treat her as if she's invisible. He then said to the girl, I brought my brother here to appreciate my mom's paintings. We'll leave soon. Seemingly lacking confidence, he quickly walked past the living room with Fang Hao and went upstairs to enter a study. At a glance, he saw a beautiful oil painting in the study. He checked the signature and date, saying, Brother Hao, this should be the one. Take a look. Fang Hao glanced around the study. There were many books, but they were all in the cabinets, likely for decorative purposes. Approaching the painting, he intended to touch it, but the door opened, and Su Lianin came over, stopping him. Please don't touch it. If you damage this multi-million-dollar painting, can you afford to compensate for it? I can't afford it. Fang Hao said with a wry smile. Joking, this was worth 80 million, how could he possibly afford it? Seeing Fang Hao retract his hand, and with Jin Shaojian also coming over to stand in front of the painting, Su Lianin, unsure whether she was addressing Fang Hao or Jin Shaojian, said, Can you understand it? I don't. Miss Su, can you understand it? Then, please explain it to us, Fang Hao smiled. He truly couldn't comprehend the painting. If it were 80 million in cash right in front of him, he would understand it then. This is in the style of Picasso, similar to the Scream, but closer to our lives, capable of awakening our thoughts. No photos allowed. Hand over your phone. Su Lianin said. While speaking, she noticed Fang Hao taking a photo. Trying to snatch the phone, she resorted to scratching Fang Hao's face when he didn't yield. Surprised, Fang Hao didn't expect this woman to be so ruthless, and he reached out to grab her wrist. I make a living with my face. Are you trying to ruin my livelihood? I won't take photos, alright, he said. With his fingers just right on the woman's wrist, he unintentionally sensed a piercing pain, a familiar pain. He tightened his grip, examining her pulse more closely. This invisible examination and the resulting conclusion were all a matter of moments. Humph. So, it's a pretty boy. Let go quickly. Su Lianin didn't know that Fang Hao had grasped her situation and was still acting aloof. Su Lianin, don't be arrogant. This is my friend. Jin Shaojian said coldly, trying to defend Fang Hao. Humph. Your friend? Just a bunch of riffraff. The guy from before was a hoodlum, and this one is just a pretty boy. What kind of garbage do you associate with? Su Lianin was not polite. Why speak so harshly? It's just a rule not to take photos. If you had explained it, we would have understood. There's no need for personal attacks. We're all in Jiangdong City, who knows, we might run into each other again. Fang Hao released his grip, took out his phone, and deleted the photos. He continued, this painting is worth 80 million. Besides being displayed at home, what other value does it have? In my opinion, it's just a form of self-entertainment. You. Who do you think you are to comment like this? Su Lianin sneered. Words are spoken from my mouth. Am I obstructing you by speaking? Are you really so domineering, even infringing on others' right to speak? What a joke. Fang Hao turned around, put his arm around Jin Shaojian's shoulder, and walked out. He said, Shaojian, don't be disheartened. The hope for your family lies with you. I believe in you taking over the family business. A family this big, relying on women for support, will eventually be doomed. Jin Shaojian smiled wryly. However, Su Lianin behind them was not pleased. She shouted, pretty boy, speak more clearly. Look, an enraged woman is just like a mad dog. Fang Hao and Jin Shaojian harmonized, paying no attention to the girl behind them, and walked out.